On this, the last edition of the Law Firm Marketing Podcast for 2011, business coach, strategist and marketing consultant Shelley Dunstone on how to become a thought leader. Welcome to the Law Firm Marketing Podcast. My name is Dan Toombs and thank you for joining me for yet another episode of this podcast that is brought to you by Grow Your Firm, the professional services marketing company. Grow Your Firm is a leading digital marketing company that is helping firms just like yours capture the sheer thousands of people who are trying to find your services online. You can see how successful Grow Your Firm has been with its integrated marketing strategies on its testimonial page at www.growyourfirm.com.au, and if you're outside Australia, make sure you drop the .au at the end of that URL. If you or someone else in your firm is closely monitoring your web analytics, then you wouldn't be surprised that it is invariably the case that the About page on your website, in particular, the page showcasing your lawyers or accountants, is one that receives most of your website visitors. We're also seeing with firms that we're working with a significant rise in Google search for specific lawyers as opposed to the law firm. We shouldn't be shocked given the massive impact that social media is having on personal branding. Shelley Dunstone is, among other things, a thought leader specialist. Shelley has tertiary qualifications in law, applied finance, and in business management and marketing. She was the winner of the Adelaide Bank Award for Business and Marketing Planning Principles and has been the recipient of various other awards and accolades. Shelley, thank you for joining me on the Law Firm Marketing Podcast. It's terrific to have you with us.
Thank you very much, Dan.
Hey, Shelley, tell us a little bit about your work with professional services firms.
Yes, look, I work primarily with law firms and sometimes with other professionals as well, and also with individual lawyers. So all of my work with lawyers is about helping them to have better businesses and more satisfying careers, because I think most lawyers are very career-oriented, and if work isn't right, then nothing's right.
Yes.
And lawyers start out with really high hopes for their careers, but very often they end up just a little bit disappointed and wish that their law degree could have delivered something more.
Yeah, I think that's very true. In fact, I recently interviewed a lady called Kim Bright, who is a US attorney, who touched on this very thing, that most lawyers start with this sort of this great sense of idealism and wanting to change the world and make an impact, but before too long get caught in the rigours of practice and lose themselves along the way. Is that something that you've found in your work with individual lawyers?
Oh, very much so. They tend to just react and respond to what goes on around them without really taking control and making deliberate choices for their career. So they're just responding to whatever comes in the door. And the work that I do combines a number of things. Obviously, what I do for an individual client depends on their objectives and their priorities. And it combines strategic positioning. So sometimes I'm facilitating a strategy day for a law firm, yes, or helping an individual lawyer with their career strategy, professional development, marketing, and career mentoring. So what I do is an amalgam of all of those things, and I wondered whether it might be helpful if I just give you a brief rundown on my background.
Tremendous. Wonderful.
Okay, so I was admitted as a lawyer in 1981, and from there I was in full-time legal practice for 10 years, and I became a law firm partner. Subsequent to that, I've put in another 7 years of freelancing on my own behalf, helping law firms with their excess workload. And I've covered a range of fields, but really specialised in commercial litigation. That's really where I've focused most of my legal practice career. I've also done about 7 years of teaching practical skills to law graduates to prepare them for legal practice. In Australia, all law graduates have to do a practical training course before they can be admitted as lawyers.
Yes.
I also have a marketing degree, majoring in competitive business strategy. So it's wearing this hat that I've helped law firms to shape their strategy and position themselves in the way that they desire. And thought leadership that we're going to be talking about today is all about positioning. And then 10 years ago, I set up my own recruitment agency specialising in legal recruitment. But progressively, the recruitment work has given way to career mentoring for lawyers, which really includes advice on selecting a specialist field of practice and how to build that. In addition to that, over the last 10 years, I've procured legal articles for the editor of a business magazine.
Right.
And often this has involved ghostwriting the articles for the lawyers who, don't have time to write the articles. So helping lawyers to find places to be published. I also speak at conferences around Australia and internationally, so I use that experience to advise lawyers on how to select an interesting topic and present it with impact.
Which is right at the hub of thought leadership, isn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And just to conclude this little segment, about 7 years I discovered an organisation called Thought Leaders, established by a very successful motivational speaker called Matt Church. And Thought Leaders was initially founded to help people who wanted to become successful professional speakers. I wanted some of that training, and so I studied the techniques of thought leadership with Matt Church, and eventually I became a mentor with the group. I've now incorporated some of these techniques into my work, and I've adapted the techniques for lawyers. So I've built it into my program, which I call Build Your Legal Practice.
Fantastic. And I must say, I mean, the work of Matt Church in Australia has been massive, hasn't it?
Yes.
It's really had a significant impact, and I mean, great to hear that you've been able to utilise all that experience in your own work. Shelley, being a lawyer has obviously helped you, relate to firms.
Yes, very much so.
Yeah. No, it's interesting. No,
I think once a lawyer, you're always a lawyer.
Absolutely, and I think as lawyers, we're fairly parochial. We like to talk to other lawyers about things that are business related.
Well, yeah, we've got a lot in common.
Yeah, true. Well, let's talk about thought leadership. What is it, and how should it relate to law firms that are looking for a competitive edge?
Yeah. Thought leadership is a way of positioning yourself as an expert in your field and attracting clients as a result, and particularly the sort of clients that you want in the areas in which you want to practice. And the term thought leader was originally coined in 1994 by